Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons and Dragons, and we're going to talk about how the future of Dungeons and Dragons increasing right now is being forged by Lego and the Tolkien estate, and is being forged by the Tolkien estate through Lego, and how Lego's new license with Dungeons and Dragons has I'm talking forever changed Dungeons and Dragons. Really reshaped it in a new way where what it is doing now is fundamentally new, fundamentally dramatic, fundamentally dynamically bigger and better than anything that ever happened on Dungeons and Dragons prior to Lego. Gary has been surpassed by Cynthia Williams' Lego connection. By the way, increasingly, women CEOs are stabilizing and fixing the mistakes of male CEOs when it comes to the owner of Dungeons and Dragons. It happened with Lorraine Williams. Gary Gygax completely lost control of himself when he went to Hollywood. Came back and said, "I realize I'm out of control. Lorraine Williams, please fix every problem I ever created," and that's exactly what she did. It's exactly what she did. She injected massive value into Dungeons and Dragons. The settings that are on top right now, Spelljammer, 100% Lorraine Williams, right? The stability of value in Dungeons and Dragons, 100% Lorraine Williams. And then Cynthia Williams came in and she did the biggest change to Dungeons and Dragons ever. 100% done under her watch, right? And it was the Lego connection. The Lego connection, man, there's so much happening. You guys are so patient, and I appreciate your patience. Let's look at 2023. What was 23? It was nothing but flames. Okay, I have an entire playlist, and that playlist goes through literally a scandal that happened with Dungeons and Dragons every single month of 2023. Okay, what was that? What was all the flame? What was all the fire? Well, this 50th year anniversary is a launching pad. And basically, the rocket is shooting off right now in this year, right? And Dungeons and Dragons is so strong that there's open conversation that the OSR and indie are fully dead and may need to break off and become a completely different industry. There's tabletop role-playing games, and then there's the tabletop role-playing experience, which is Dungeons and Dragons. And the reason why is when you play Dungeons and Dragons, you get this experience of fame and celebrity and momentum and legacy, right? Whereas when you play OSRs and indie, you get this lane, right? It's fame versus lane, right? You're like, oh, you want me to play OSR? What's here? Nothing. There's some bad art and some words on a page and nothing else. And every OSR is like this, and every indie is like this. And people are like, well, I'm at your table, but I want to be at the party, right? And it's a big deal, right? There's just this drumbeat of momentum with Dungeons & Dragons that is completely absent everywhere else. And not just absent, but literally guys in the OSE and in the indie surrendering and saying, take my content, please, Dungeons & Dragons. Can you shine the light onto what I've built? Because I can't, right? It's astounding. Matthew Colville's the latest victim of this, right? Not victim, the latest bended knee servant. Right? That's what he is now, right? He was his own independent little thing. Now he's like, oh, I'm on D&D Beyond. I'm D&D canon just like everything else. Give me my seeds each month so I can eat. Like, it's astounding, right? And when I say eat, I don't mean like he was making enough to eat, right? What I'm saying is like if you have a company and you have employees, right? It's hard to do that on OSR and indie. I've been saying OSE, excuse me. Let's get right into this. Okay. Oh, so 2023 was the flames of the rocket, like the boosters, and all that flame was so that D&D could just shoot off like a rocket this year, right? And when it shoots into orbit, what is it shoot? What are the fuel pods that it will discard like trash? The OSR and the indie. They do not belong in the same sentence with Dungeons & Dragons. They don't do anything. They don't have anything real, right? There's tabletop role-playing games, and there is the tabletop role-playing experience. And until somebody in the tabletop role-playing game, in the tabletop role-playing sphere, realizes this: D&D is never going to be defeated, and it will just continue to collect bended knee servants like Matthew Colville, in my humble opinion. All right. Okay, let's talk about the what is happening. Okay, why? So it is my contention, my humble opinion, that the Lego Icons 10333 Lord of the Rings Barad-Dur set changes the future of Dungeons and Dragons forever. Okay, how would it do that? And you're like, wait, Scott, that's Tolkien's work. That has nothing to do with Dungeons and Dragons. Wrong, and wrong, and wrong. Let me tell you why. All right. So, in between, we're about to get a book. One of the most, actually, the most important book ever printed in Dungeons and Dragons history is about to arrive. It is The Making of Dungeons and Dragons, 1970 to 1977. Okay, hugely important book, and what it'll do is it'll print the first era, the first iteration. Okay, because editions are dead. There are no more editions. It's one D&D. There are no editions. Do not exist now. Okay, it is the first printed iteration of Dungeons and Dragons, and it's going to be printed in a book. And what's astounding is when this was done in like 1974, it was a crime. Look, Gary Gygax literally broke the law. They had to stop printing what he was printing because he didn't have the right to print it. He freely mixed Lord of the Rings. He talked about hobbits, elves, dwarves. He talked about orcs, and he put them right in Dungeons and Dragons. And there was no division between Dungeons and Dragons and Lord of the Rings. They were the same thing. Okay? And the Tolkien estate was like, actually the Tolkien family, it wasn't the estate then. Tolkien was alive. It was like, whoa, slow your roll, man. You got no right to do that. You can't do that. And Gary was like, oops, my bad. Sorry for that crime. I stopped doing that. But now, where are we now? Well, in 2023, Hasbro's like, has different words. I'm paraphrasing here. This is my opinion of what happened. Hasbro's like, hey, we done you wrong in 1974. We paid you nothing. But look, it's 2023. You're going to give us your rights for the Lord of the Rings Magic the Gathering set, right? And we're going to print Magic the Gathering Lord of the Rings, and we're going to start sending you millions of dollars every month. Post Malone's going to buy one card for $2 million and put it in a vault, right? And the Tolkien estate's like millions every month, and I believe this is what happened. This is my take on what happened in 2023. Okay, I think if you look at everything that happened, and then the Tolkien estate was like, "Oh, hey, thanks, appreciate it. We're gonna go over here on a yacht." And then like the Hasbro executives were like, "Oh man, we got that deal done," and the Hasbro creatives were like, "Whoa, we just got the rights for Lord of the Rings and Magic the Gathering, which means Lord of the Rings is all up in D&D." And then there was one artist who was like, "Well, the Lord of the Rings set isn't officially Dungeons and Dragons because it's in Magic the Gathering." And then all the designers and the artists at Hasbro, in my opinion, were like, "Did you read James White's material and all that? You know, MTG and D&D are forced forever now, and literally we have settings that have no purpose but to bring every single setting connected even remotely close to D&D, fully into D&D. Did you read the Strixhaven book, the D&D book, and did you read the set? Like, they're not separate. That's ludicrous, right? Anybody who's read Dungeons and Dragons and who's read the D&D Strixhaven stuff and the Magic the Gathering Strixhaven stuff knows that this is one product, right? Like, everybody, like, what, did you miss the memo, right? Like, and it is like, and you're like, well, Scott, these are really separate. Are they? Do you know what's coming out right now? There's a book that's going to be printed that says these were never separate. On day one, Dungeons and Dragons and Lord of the Rings were in the same sphere. There's never been any difference between Dungeons and Dragons and Lord of the Rings. It's always been official. It's never been official. It's always been there. But in my humble opinion, 2024 is the first year that D&D and Lord of the Rings as one product is official. And the reason why is it's getting printed in a book by Hasbro as a D&D iteration, served right up to us, ready for play, right? And with the Tolkien Estates, big green stamp of approval, saying, of course we were always together, and now we're fully together. And so what that means is that when the Lego Icons 10-333 Lord of the Rings Barad-Dur set was created and established new canon, new pages, written in brick, written in Lego brick, the Lego 10-333 Lord of the Rings Barad-Dur set creates new canon in the Lord of the Rings world. It shows us the interior of Barad-Dur and says Tolkien is dead. Tolkien's estate is giving his death mouth the right to establish new canon. So these Lego designers, they will speak with Tolkien's dead mouth. And those words will echo louder than any page in the Lord of the Rings ever has, because it's tangible. Tangible. Not just symbols with meaning, but literally showing you what Tolkien never did. Right? And that canon created from a Lego set directly into the Lord of the Rings books, right? Saying the books aren't finished, we will give you more. Your new pages arrive through every Lego set, right? That Lego set canon belongs to D&D now. It does the moment we get that 1970 to 1977 book, and it's official, right? That the Lord of the Rings Tolkien estate, in my humble opinion, is fully like, these are one product. They always have been, right? We got upset because the law was broken. What we didn't realize was that the momentum that Gary was establishing on February 7, 1974 was bigger than the law, because it was a new cultural law. Every single word, without exception, that you just heard is my humble opinion, nothing more. The only important thing is when I hear your humble opinion, when you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a fetch millennium.